Who can take your money?
Who can take your money?
With a twinkle in their eye.
A twinkle in their eye.
Take it all away and give it to some other guy. The government. The government can. And who can tax the sunrise? Who can tax the trees?
Who can tax the trees?
Well, let you run a business and collect up all the fees. The government. Oh, the government can.
The government can.
And the government can, 'cause they mix it up with lies and make it all taste good.
It all tastes good.
Government takes everything we make to pay for all of their solutions, like healthcare, climate change, pollution. Just throw away the Constitution. I wrote that, thank you. Who can give a bailout? Tell us to behave.
Tell us to behave.
And make the founding fathers roll over in their grave. The the government. I don't care if you hate me. I'm going to sing it anyway. Oh, the government came. And the government came because they mix it up. Well, I to make it all yummy, 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 yummy. The government takes everything we make. They're all...
Wow, Caron, I thought that was you singing for a minute. My goodness gracious, that's the best song in the world. I think we should nominate that guy for Artist Emmy of the Year. What you think?
I love it, brother. I love it.
That is going to be my opening song. I've got to get the full version of that when I go on radio in January. That is going to be my opening salvo every night. What do you think, man?
Yeah, that was perfect, brother. Thank you for sharing it, man. That was perfect. And I'm sorry. I would be on camera tonight, but I didn't have a chance to do my hair.
I know you didn't. No, we look. I'm going on
apologize.
radio in January, and I had a friend of mine tell me one time, "You got a face for radio, McDonald," and I keep wondering if that was an insult, and I think it was, but that's all right, But what did you say? You're still better looking than me, even though you have less hair. Is that what you always saying too?
Yes, yeah, absolutely, man. I hope you got my. I hope you have my book or something on the screen while I'm speaking. And,
I ain't got nothing of you. I don't want people to see your ugly mug. They see enough of that already. I'll find some mug. I could have put the Pope up. I got a picture of the Pope up. You reckon that would have been appropriate?
Yeah, right.
Well, listen, I want to tell you.
Put Ben Affleck's face.
Ben Affleck's face. That would work.
On my body, and maybe I'll sell a few more books. I don't know.
That would work, brother. Hey, man, listen, it's good to see you. And I want to tell you, I've already told you this many times. You were so hospitable earlier this year when I came up to see you. I hate the weather was bad that day. It was so foggy we couldn't even see the water. But you've got a beautiful place up there in New England, and you were very, 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 very gracious to let me stay with you. And I really enjoyed the time together with you. And I'm going to get back up and see you. And we've got some friends up in Boston, Salem area that we got to get back and see this year. And but listen, a lot of stuff going on. I want to just give you a shout out. You got published in the one of the largest magazines that support police officers, and I want to just sort of give the folks a heads up on it. I want to read a little bit of it tonight, if you don't mind. It's called Terrorism Alert: How Washington Will Lead America into World War III. I'm going to get my glasses on here. And it says, in November of 21, Blue Magazine published an article, Are We on the Verge of World War III? In summary, you outline the incompetence and failures of the U.S. government in sustaining peace in Afghanistan, and also how the U.S. believed money alone could purchase it by partnering with an international crime syndicate masquerading as a government. The U.S. was the biggest source fueling this corrupt government via fraudulent U.S. contract activity such as bribes, cash payments, or corrupt Afghan officials, drug lords, bankers, and thousands of others by our CIA. Lovely bunch, huh? And you go on down and you start talking about something that caught my attention. You said, according to the CIA, there are no fewer than 14 distinct terror groups operating in Afghanistan today, all with international ambitions. In addition, the new government there is headed by the Taliban again, that formed a suicide unit called the Barda Martyrs Brigade. And of course, children are the victims of starvation, child marriage, organ trafficking, or being sexually exploited. Young boys are used as child soldiers. And he goes on. And then I want to just come down here, and you get some figures here, and I'll let you sort of pick it up from here. But you basically make the argument, Eric, this is setting the stage. This failure in Afghanistan and other failures, unfortunately, is setting the stage for an unstable world that's about to get us in a world war. And I want you to take it from there, because maybe people understand this, maybe they don't, but the world is more dangerous to me tonight than it was prior to 9/11. And that's just my take on it tonight, because, look, at least on 9/11, say what you want to about Bush. Look, we didn't want Al Gore in office. I mean, I know people hate Bush, and all that's fine, and I'm not trying to praise George W. Bush Jr., but the alternative would have been Al Gore. And if you can only imagine what the nation would have looked like under Al Gore, I mean, I just shudder to think what that would have looked like. And tonight we've got somebody in the White House, Eric. I don't even know if he understands where Afghanistan is on a map. And I'll let you take it from there. But it's scary. That article you put out is very troubling, and it's on switchonlife.com. If you folks want to go, there's a link to that article. But very powerful stuff. Tell me what you got on your mind.
Yeah. I mean, so that article dropped, I think a few months ago, and I have another one dropping probably in the next day or two with the Blue Magazine, Chris. But the bottom line is this: America is more vulnerable today than prior to 9/11. The director of FBI recently testified that there are flashing red lights relating to terrorism today in America. The threat is as high, if not higher. And that's important for people to understand. And essentially, the Biden administration is complicit in welcoming transnational criminals and terror organizations, individuals into America. America has become a safe haven for terrorists, and it's painful to say that. For decades, the U.S. government prevented America from becoming a safe haven for individuals who commit war crimes and genocide and torture, who are terrorists, in all these conflict areas around the world. But we are welcoming in tens of thousands of individuals from around the globe who are criminals, who are terrorists, who are war criminals. I know that in the Department of Homeland Security, Chris, which I'm a former agent of, there's agents who are dedicated to identifying and prosecuting and apprehending and prosecuting individuals that enter America, and some 500 individuals for human rights violations have entered the U.S. and have been hunted down and prosecuted. And the numbers are skyrocketing relating to these individuals who are war criminals from around the globe, i.e. Russia, Ukraine, South America, Mexico. You pick the country. They're all flocking to America because they know they have a safe haven here now. And according to the United Nations, Chris, this is an important figure. A quarter of humanity, approximately 2 billion people, are living in international conflict areas today. I mean, and what my point is this: the bad guys who are committing atrocities today or yesterday need to find a safe haven to escape to.
Yes.
They're coming to America. They're coming to America just like the Nazis did after World War II. And I hunted down war criminals and human rights violators myself, along with my agents. And this was some 8-10 years ago. The situation now is much, much worse, in that our borders are completely open and we are welcoming in, knowingly or unknowingly, because of our soft borders, human rights violators, war criminals, and terrorists who are living now next to you.
All right, let me ask you this. Part of your article, you mentioned shadow wars. And we had Ray before Congress here just 2 nights ago, Eric, and he basically was alluding to what you just said. I mean, what you're telling us tonight was basically, you're just confirming something And I trust you a lot more than I do Christopher Wray. I can tell you that.
And I haven't even listened to Christopher Wray's
I know.
testimony. So
And exactly, but he said exactly what you said, and he's saying that the threat level during the holidays to this nation is the highest he's ever seen it. And look, I respect the rank and file of the FBI. I respect the rank and file of the CIA. I respect the rank and file of the national security agencies. I do not respect the bureaucracy. I do not respect the bureaucrats. I do not respect these elite assholes that sit in these chairs and make these bureaucratic decisions and put agents in harm's way and make these decisions that weaken our country and kiss Joe Biden's butt, kiss Congress's butt, and Congress kisses their butt behind the scenes. You've got such an unjust FBI. They have gone after J6ers. They've gone after Trump. They've gone after his boys. They've gone after. I heard tonight. There's a reporter, and we've got it coming up on the afterthought after you leave the show. They arrested a journalist tonight. They're going after a journalist that was reporting on J6. Not that he did anything wrong at the Capitol, but he was just down there reporting. And they're going after anybody they can find that was in D.C. that day that was anywhere remotely close, and he was just trying to report the truth. Well, the FBI notified his lawyer tonight that they've opened a case file on him. For what? For what? For reporting the news? Eric, if that's the case, we're all in danger. I mean, me and you're in danger tonight for talking about this because, mean, you've got some stuff here that we're not hearing on the MSNBC network or the CNN network. We're not even hearing this on Fox.
No. I mean, listen, you know and I know the cancel culture is alive and well, without a doubt. And they're trying to, the bureaucrats, the deep state in Washington, is trying to silence me, you, and many other officials who are just trying to speak the truth. Without a doubt, I've seen it, you've seen it, and hence I know, personally know, and I've had people tell me, Eric, I've seen some of your writings. Can you just kind of be quiet a little bit? It's
really
100%, dude. 100%.
Wow.
And I mean, these are former agents, and because they know they want retirement jobs, and you know, working for corporate America. I can't get a job in corporate America with my articles. If you go to Switched On Life and you go to the Caron Chronicles, you'll see some of the articles I've written. Nothing but my opinion and what I believe to be the truth. But I know for a fact, Chris, I have not received certain jobs in the last few years because of my feelings relating to the U.S. government and the truth, my truth, and what I know is to be truth. And that's sad. And I've had several agents, retired agents, say to me, you got to just kind of be quiet, and it's a little harsh and a little hard. And they don't want to like my post on LinkedIn. They don't want to like my posts on Facebook because they don't want to associate with these articles because they're afraid they won't get a job. That's the God's honest truth.
Well, Eric, we're in a time that, look, it's a dangerous time, bro. And look, our mutual friend Bo, you mentioned he's still fighting for his life down in Sudan. And, you go over to these African countries and you try to lecture these African nations on security, and you've got one of the weakest securities here in America. I mean, you're trying to get the African nations to see this threat, and they're sending you overseas. Hell, they need to be sending you to the 50 states of the United States, brother, because it just seems like we don't get the idea. We don't get the message in this nation that we're under great danger. And look, I wouldn't spit on the ground Christopher Wray walked on. Look, I pray for the man's soul, but I have no respect for him. I got more respect for a dead dog than I do the FBI director tonight. The way he's handled that agency and the politicization and the weaponization of these three-letter agencies. I've got nothing but disgust for what they do. But I do agree with his assessment that we are in great danger. And whether it's the holiday season or going into January, I think this whole coming year, Eric, and I really think the world changed again on October the 7th. Look, 9/11 of 2001 was an earmarked day on our calendar that we've never changed, we've never come back from. But I believe October the 7th of 2023 is also going to be an earmarked date that is going to basically set the stage and set the table for events in this nation that I don't think anybody listening to me tonight, and I know you probably will agree with this, I don't think we want to see how this is going to look on the ground. We're not going to want to see what we say, how this looks on the ground and how this looks from, you know, the not the cheap seats, but the regular seats. We may not want to see how this looks in real time in the good old U.S. of A.
No. Folks, I'm Chris. Listen, the terrorists are here in America tonight. Hello, I'm telling you, I've done it. I've seen it. Terrorists are here in America tonight. Lone wolf terrorists, as well as cells. That's why Christopher Wray says flashing red light. There's a flashing red light because he's seeing the big picture. Now he's the director. He's just telling Congress what he's been briefed. He's not operational. And there's about, 60, 70 different SAC offices, special agent in charge offices around the U.S., plus the foreign offices. So he sees, the executive summary, Chris. He doesn't see everything. But the executive summary that he's presented on his desk is screaming out that we are vulnerable to a terrorist attack in this country because of the thousands of open joint terrorism task force cases around this nation tonight.
Let me ask you this. Hey, but not to interrupt you, but I'm going to ask you this question. You mentioned in your article that there was 14 that you could attest to, 14 terrorist groups in Afghanistan. What number would you put on that for here in America?
Well, just as probably just as many, if not more, because Chris, there's probably about 70 plus. The last time I looked, 70 plus terror groups around the globe. Some big, some small. And so, yes, ISIS affiliates, Al-Qaeda affiliates, Boko Haram affiliates, Hamas affiliates, Al-Qaeda, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're here in America, and meaning either operationally, meaning the guys who are planning and scouting and looking for targets and would carry out attacks, plus, this is just as important, Chris, the money people, the supporters, the fundraisers. And so there are many, many thousands of would-be terrorists or terrorist associates here in America tonight. Chris, let me just say, since January 2023, CBP, Customs and Border Protection agents, have apprehended 169 terror watch list suspects along the southwest border alone. Okay?
Yeah.
And so that's, not only is that a record, but exceeds the combined total for the past 6 years. And that's just the southwest border. Again, I've said this time and time again on your show, Chris. No one talks about the northern border. No one talks about the seaports and the 55 million containers that come in and what's in those containers besides contraband, drugs, counterfeits, people, WMD components. God only knows, because we only open less than 2%, about 2% open 2% of containers. We need to understand you have no nation without border security. Border security, Chris, equals national security. I'm sure Victor Avila, I think you've had him on about a week or so
He was
ago.
on Monday night. Yeah, he was on just this week or last week. Yeah, he sure was. Yeah.
He's a friend of mine. I introduced him to you.
Yes.
And he's running for Congress. I think people should support him. He's a good man. He's seen the threat, just like I've seen the threat. And it's a little frustrating that people like him and people like me who go on radio shows or TV shows and try to wake up America. Wake up America. We are risking, both Victor and myself, we're risking our livelihood trying to awaken America, truly. And it's a little frustrating that you and I have been talking about this threat for a couple of years now.
At least that. At least 2, maybe 3, really. Because I met you in 2019, man. We'll be knowing each other 5 years come March. But I know the last 3 we've been screaming that this is happening not only on our borders, but it's the northern border. But Eric, it's happening within the nation too. It's happening on the streets.
Absolutely.
Some of these metropolitan cities have become nothing but war zones.
Absolutely, Chris. So it's a 1-2 punch. So the Communist Democrat Party is allowing America to be flooded, infiltrated with international criminals and terrorists.
All right, I understand that. Let me sort of pick your brain about something.
And then, Chris, let me just say, and then the second punch is that our liberal mayors and governors are turning a blind eye to crime. And so we're welcoming in foreign individuals, foreign criminals and terrorists, and war criminals, human rights violators. Plus, we are turning a blind eye to crime on our streets. And the third punch, the 1, 2, 3, the third punch is we're demonizing police in America. So who the heck wants to be a police officer today? And it's our cities are now war zones, just like you said.
But Eric, let me give you a fourth punch, and I want to get your take on this. We got about 10, 15 minutes here. I want to ask you a serious question tonight because there's another breaking story that has erupted just last night and today. Johnson, who I had a lot of hope for until I saw the picture today of him walking down the freaking Capitol steps with the absolute worst human being in history had ever graced the speakership of Paul Ryan. And then you've got, I think it was 71 or 72 Republicans in the House. And, 17 senators, I think, Cotton, Cruz, Gillibrand, there was several of them, Senia, that voted for the renewal of the FISA Act. And I'm going to read the article because Simon Atkabaugh, he's a great journalist. They've been actually trying to get him removed from the White House press pool because he's holding this wacko press secretary to the fire. But he was out there saying tonight that, Eric, they've given the government basically carte blanche again to spy on all of us, to do what they want to do. So what you just described is bad, but, bro, it's even 10 times worse if you compound the fact that you got a government that ain't trying to stop the criminals, man. They trying to spy on law-abiding citizens, and a lot of it's Christianity. A lot of it's conservative Christians and conservative people of faith and people that do not toe the line with this government bullshit and not toe the line of the media. And again, it goes back to what the FBI has been doing for the last 2 years. Anybody that's opposed this regime, that's opposed this government, that opposes anything, and bro, when you start opening case files on reporters that were just there simply reported on J6, you've got freaking communist America. This ain't even a, I know we're not a democracy, but the republic has been crushed. The republic, you can just throw that term republic out too, because you have got nothing. You just got basically a third world communist dictatorship.
Well, Chris, I mean, it starts at the top, and the head of the snake is bad. It's rotten. I mean, the White House, who's currently in the White House, is corrupted. I told you, if you go back probably 2 years ago when Biden took office, I said that Joe Biden is corrupt. I said that he probably will be impeached but not removed. I told you that Joe Biden, Hunter Biden were conducting business transactions to enrich themselves. I said that's a violation of several laws. I said that the CIA more than likely knew it, and under Executive Order 12333, Executive Order 12333, they have an obligation to notify the Department of Justice when they become aware of crimes committed by officials under their control or sources under their control. They didn't do that. And I'm saying Hunter Biden, Joe Biden did not go to China or Ukraine and do all this negotiations officially, unofficially, without the CIA knowing about it. Nobody, Chris, is talking about what did the CIA and FBI and DOJ know, and when did they know it, and why did they not do anything to stop it?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't tell you that, Eric. There's no answer for that tonight, brother.
But I can tell you, and you've already saw it with Hunter Biden. I spent five years in Washington. This is all a charade. It's all a game in Washington, brother.
I know, man.
Hunter Biden, when he walked out yesterday at Capitol Hill, walked in front of the cameras in front of the Capitol Hill, and basically said his dad knew nothing about it.
That's such crap. Do you believe that? Does Eric Caron believe that?
No, of course not, brother. And Hunter Biden is a victim. I'm telling you right now, Hunter Biden, as I told you 2 years ago about the Biden crime family and what they were involved in, money laundering and Foreign Corrupt Practices Act violations. We've prosecuted people, many foreign officials, for Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. You can look it up. Joe Biden used his office to enrich himself. That's a violation of the law. And so Hunter Biden trying to say he's a victim. Hunter Biden will eventually, I'm sure, will come out and say, listen, maybe not today, tomorrow. Listen, I was just doing what I was told by the CIA. I was acting, I'm a good man. I was trying to help the U.S. government by interacting with the Chinese head of the Chinese spy agency and other officials of China. He's going to use it as his defense. I've seen it before, man. I've seen it before, Chris. The CIA was using Hunter Biden as a conduit into the Chinese government, and the Chinese government was using Hunter Biden as a conduit into the Oval Office to Joe Biden and to Hunter and to Barack Obama to spy on the U.S. government.
Well, of course they were.
Period.
But Eric, I guarantee if I was to open the chat up for questions right now, you know what the first question is going to be? It's what the hell are they going to do about it? And these feckless Republicans, that's where I was going a while ago.
Yeah,
you know,
sorry,
this is the thing. Comer's out there talking this big deal tonight. Jordan's out there talking this big deal tonight that Hunter didn't abide by the subpoena. Then why the blank, and I'll let my audience fill in the blank word that they know I'm trying to say, but I can't say it tonight because this is a Family Network show, at least for the remaining part of the year. But I want to know what the blank do they think would happen if this would have been Don Jr. up there tonight or Eric Trump. or Ivanka, and you've got these corrupt DAs threatening jail time if they didn't testify against their father in this sham fraud civil trial and these sham cases that are basically falling apart every day that goes by. But yet, this piece of you-know-what, and again, I pray for these people's souls. I say this with all respect. I'm not trying to throw them under the bus personally, because, look, they're just like me. They've got their issues. But in this case, Eric, this is a matter of law. And he's basically sticking his middle finger to Congress and saying, blank you. But he's saying it to the rule of law. Nothing's going to be done. And these Republicans come out here and they piss me off worse than he does. Because they sit out there and they act like Chicken Little, the sky's falling, and then they don't do a blanking thing about it to get his ass in there to the podium to make him come before them. Do you not think they could do that if they wanted to do it? Absolutely, they could.
Yeah. And all this, Chris, understand all this talk relating to the Bidens. There's anybody with half a brain can understand the evidence is fairly clear as to what was happening. Joe and Hunter was using Joe Biden as a conduit to get work, to get money. The monies are going back. Money's being transferred about $25 million. The suspicious activity reports are there, et cetera, et cetera. The Republican Party officials should be asking the question because these SARs have been filed years ago. All this intelligence was there years ago. So the real question again, Chris, where was the FBI and the CIA in the Department of Justice?
Nowhere. I'll answer that one for you. Nowhere, Eric. They were nowhere to be found.
But that's all this other smoke and mirrors that you hear on the 6 o'clock news and Fox, OAN, Newsmax about X, Y, and Z. No one speaks to the fact that all these records, if we're supposed to be the premier law enforcement agency, FBI, CIA, NSA, Department of Justice, where were you for the last 2, 3, 4 years? And the question is, if you didn't know, why didn't you know? And then if you knew, why didn't you do anything about it? You knew that Hunter Biden was involved in suspicious activities.
No, I tell you where they were, Eric. I'll answer your question for you. We got to wrap this up. I'll answer your question for you. They were attacking moms at school board meetings in Virginia. They were basically worrying about whether a transgender was a man or a woman or a combination of 6 other sexes that they claimed was out there. They were more freaking worried about whether the Black Lives Matter people were offended and they had their backsides put in jail, burning cities to the ground, and whether we offended the black community or we offended the Hispanic community or we offended this community. That's what they were doing. And the country's gone to hell. And let me tell you something. I'll agree with Christopher Ray tonight. We are in a dangerous. The red light is blinking. But you know something? The red light's been blinking. The red light has been blinking for years. And they've been more worried about this woke justice, woke crap. And I could use another term for that tonight instead of doing their blanking jobs, Eric, and protecting the country from enemies, foreign and domestic. Because now it's all of a sudden, well, we just woke up today and realized the country's in danger. You just want to puke. It makes me want to puke, man.
Right.
We got 5 minutes. Wrap us up. Final thoughts.
Well, I mean, and that's why I'm calling, and I've been calling for, Chris, on your shows for the last, 2 years, a colonoscopy of Washington. Have I not?
Yeah, you have, man. We need one, bro. We need one.
I've been calling for a colonoscopy of Washington, D.C. I just returned from it. I was on Capitol Hill, and the pompous people up there, they're so disconnected, Chris. That's why you've seen what you've seen. They're so disconnected with you and me. they have no clue what's happening in the inner cities because they just care about their power, and power corrupts. Power corrupts absolutely. And so, yes, our government, from the Department of Justice to the FBI, Homeland Insecurity, to the CIA especially, needs a total cleansing. Total cleansing, Chris. And Abraham Lincoln famously stated, "A house divided against itself cannot stand."
No, it cannot, brother. No, it cannot.
And so America must stand up now for the rule of law.
Yep.
Okay? And so I ask people to go to my website, support me. Switched On Life is my website. Plenty of articles, free articles to read. The book is there. The Amazon has my audio book, which is done phenomenally. I love the audio book, so go to Amazon as well for those who like audio books. I appreciate the opportunity to come on tonight, Chris. And
always,
share
buddy.
with
No,
you.
we're the ones honored to have you. And I do want to ask you one quick question. Did you see that travesty of a Christmas presentation that came out of the White House last night?
I did not.
You did not. Well, I'll let you. We'll save that one for another discussion when we're off the camera, because I got a feeling that you were probably using words you can't use on my show tonight. It was a travesty, bro. Trust me. But and then they found out this is how rich things are. The company that put it on, guess what? They had ties to anti-white woke theology and ideology, Eric, and that's what I'm talking about, man. The only people that are in danger tonight are white folks. That's who they're after.
Chris, we absolutely listen. The mayor of Boston,
Yes.
had a party, and non-whites were invited.
Non-whites were invited, and now she's out there claiming that she's all hurt, and her office is getting a lot of hate mail from whites. And I don't think the whites are sending the hate mail. I think that people that are sending the hate mail are these same people posing as whites, because they're not. Eric, let me tell you something. These politicians do this stuff to themselves.
Yeah, this is just she's a fraud. I mean, she's just using it now because she got her pants in a tizzy. She got caught with her pants down, and somebody leaked it, and now she's saying, "Oh, I'm the victim," just like Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden, victimhood.
I'm the victim. I'm the victim.
We're going to have a good time next year, bro, and I know we'll have you on some nights on the radio show, and we can I have more freedom over there, because I'm going to go under Groucho Marx. I'm going to put my Groucho Marx outfit on with my mustache, so nobody will know who I am in radio. Does that work? Oops, that's right. They can't see me, so it won't work. They'll know my voice, won't it? So anyway, hey man, good stuff tonight. Thank you for being with me. And I'm going to let you go. I'm going to wrap it up with these folks, take a few questions. And listen, God bless you, friend. Have a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you after the holidays, okay?
I love you, man.
Love you, buddy.
Thanks for having me, man.
God bless, bro. Be safe out there. Give all my best. Peace on. Stay switched on.
Bye-bye.
God bless, man.
Bye-bye.
Eric, Caron, everybody. You can't put some fire in that house yet. You will in just a second, because we're going to open the chat to questions. We're grateful that you're with us on this Thursday night. That's my buddy. Oh, we have had some conversations that some we can repeat, some we cannot. I'll just leave it at that. But folks, look, he was hitting a home run again tonight, and the threat is real. All right, now let me do this quick, because I don't want to take your questions tonight. This is our final show of the week. I want to just talk about a few things tonight. I'm going to have to get my glasses on so I'll know what I'm posting here. He mentioned Hunter Biden. Here is Chuck Calestro off of X tonight. He says House insiders report that Democratic Representative Eric Swalwell, a Judiciary Committee member, aided and abetted a crime by collaborating with Hunter Biden's lawyers, Abby Lowell, to assist Hunter in defying a congressional subpoena. Will he be held accountable? Chuck, I will answer your question. Absolutely not. if he won't go to jail for sleeping with Yang Yang, the Chinese spy, and giving our secrets out while he's fornicating with her, do you think he's going to even get a slap on the wrist for this? Come on, Chuck. Come on, Chuck. I like your Twitter feed, Chuck, but you know the answer to that. You know the answer to that, Chuck. No, he ain't. He won't. He should, but he won't. Let me remind you, folks, this is not normal. I just had to throw this in. We don't need to pretend that this is normal. That's from a meme tonight. That is from a meme tonight. That is not normal. Let me say it again. That is not normal. Winston Churchill, something good to put out there tonight. When Muslims are in the minority, they are very concerned with minority rights. And I would say that about a few other groups tonight. When they are in the majority, there are no minority rights. There are no minority rights. And that don't just apply to Muslims. I don't want to get myself in trouble tonight. But it don't apply to Muslims. It applies to a lot of other folks and a lot of other groups too. I'm going to say that again. When the Muslims are in the minority, they're screaming, we need rights, we need rights, we need rights. Everybody's infringing on our rights. But when they're in the majority, all of a sudden, the tolerance level is thrown out the window, and they become the law, and they become the voice, and there are no rights. Well said, Winston. Well said, many decades ago. I'm sure you heard, you Iowa folks did, this statue right here, and we got a follow-up story to this. This is the satanic statue that was put up in Iowa at the courthouse, and I think I've got the picture of the gentleman. Yes, here he is, right here. Chris is doing better tonight, keeping his stuff organized. This is Michael Cassidy. He is a devout Christian and former military officer. Well, guess what? He just tore down and he beheaded the Satan idol that was erected at the Iowa Capitol. No word yet on what they will do to Mr. Cassidy. But whoever put that statue up in that rotunda, if it's a government official, they need to be fired. But again, the Satanists can do what they want to do, nothing said. I wonder what would have happened. I wonder what would have happened, and you don't have to answer this. We all already know this, what would have happened. If they would have wanted to put a statue of Jesus up, or a Ten Commandments. Look, we've played this game before. We went through this. Roy Moore basically got labeled with a scarlet letter back in the mid-2000s, and the press crucified him over his campaign to keep the Ten Commandments in the Alabama State Capitol in Montgomery. And he was labeled an extremist, and then these accusations started piling up. People started coming out of the woodwork accusing him of everything under the sun, and I don't know whether they were true or not, but it was a given that a lot of this stuff was made up. And I want to just say this tonight, folks. You need to be careful. Most of you in this audience are, but there's a few that want to entertain gossip and slander about people. You need to be careful when you see something written for the first time about somebody, just that you're sharing it out like it's gospel. It's not. But that's another discussion for another time. But they crucified Roy Moore for trying to put the Ten Commandments up. But for whatever reason, this individual, not Mr. Cassidy, I salute Mr. Cassidy tonight. He had some bravery. He's a veteran. And he's a devout Christian. And he said enough. And he beheaded the statue. Well done, sir. But the double standard is stifling. The double standard is stifling. I bet you ain't heard this video tonight, and I didn't hear it until tonight. It's wild stuff. Guess is what they're teaching the Palestinians. These peaceful Palestinians, they're teaching this to children. Watch this. Roll the tape.
Things I found in Palestinian textbooks. This is what Palestinian kids learn in school. And I encourage you to stay to the end for a nice plot twist. First grade, learning math by counting martyrs in each intifada. Third grade, how Jerusalem is not sacred to Jews. Fifth grade, learning how Jews are enemies of Islam in all times and places, while terrorists and Nazi supporters are glorified. The list of Palestinian heroes includes no scientists, no doctors, no engineers, they proudly say to their kids. Dying is better than living. 6th grade, how the Palestinian state goes from the river to the sea. 7th grade, let's learn about Newton's second law using a slingshot aimed at IDF soldiers. 8th grade, learning proper Arabic using reading materials about suicide bombings and how the youth should conduct jihad. 9th grade, learning how the Hebron massacre, in which 67 Jews were tortured and killed, was a natural, legitimate resistance act, even though it was conducted 20 years before the State of Israel was formed. Also, how killing infidels like Jews or Christians will lead you to paradise. 10th grade, learning how jihad is an obligation for every Muslim. 11th graders learn how Jews control the world using Nazi-like illustrations. And finally, 12th...
By the way, the 11th graders are being taught how the Jews control the world. No different than Stu Peters and his stupid Twitter handle and all these anti-Semite Jew haters out there on these networks. I could name every night I come on this network, I want to call them out by name, but I promise the Lord I'm not going to turn into I'm not going to do that. I call Stu out because Stu out there, he just keeps putting his stuff out there and it's blatant and he's not even ashamed. He's not even ashamed. He just keeps doing it. But he puts some vile stuff out there. But what they're teaching the 11th graders, the Palestinians, they don't need to have the Palestinians taught that. We got Americans teaching our kids that. We've got Americans. I want to roll that back just a little bit. I want you to watch this, folks. Listen very carefully. This is what they're being told. Sounds like most people's Twitter handles and Facebook pages and their Telegram rooms. Roll the tape.
Infidels like Jews or Christians will lead you to paradise. 10th grade, learning how jihad is an obligation for every Muslim. 11th graders learn how Jews control the world using Nazi-like illustrations. And finally, 12th graders are taught that the highest point one can aspire to is dying for a religious duty. Listen, there is much more. There are hundreds of examples, but I think you got the idea. But don't listen to me, listen to an actual student.
شو بيعلموكم عن حق العودة بالمدارس؟
ما احنا مش تبع شهاده كلنا راح ناخذ حقنا الله ينتقم منهم ان شاء الله يموتوا كلهم.
And one last
I'm going to back that up. Did you see what the kid said right there? With Allah's help, the Jews will all die. Folks, that's a kid. That's a kid. That's a kid. By the way, I want to just go ahead and equivocally say again tonight on this Thursday night, just so there ain't no gray area, we stand with Israel. We stand with Bibi Netanyahu. We stand with the state of Israel tonight. We stand with her. And we stand against all efforts to denigrate the Jewish people. We stand against anti-Semitism. I don't care if it's coming from the biggest prophet out there, the biggest teacher out there, the biggest prayer warrior out there, the biggest network out there, the biggest radio host out there, the biggest telegram room, the biggest X thing. I don't care who it's coming from. It's demonic. It's wrong. But I'm going to tell you something, folks. You say, well, that's horrible that they're teaching these kids that with Allah's help, all the Jews will die. Folks, take a look at what's going on right here in America. Philadelphia got shut down tonight. Patriot sent me a picture yesterday in the chat room. He said that, I think it was San Francisco, their highways got shut down yesterday. California highways got shut down for these pro-Palestinians, basically screaming, very similar to what this kid is saying. All the Jews are going to die. Kill the Jews. F the Jews. Gas the Jews. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. But it's not coming again. They're being taught this over there in the Palestinian schools. We're spreading the same stuff here in America. We're spreading the same stuff in America. Roll that tape back. This is the kid talking. Way to go, whoever did this video. They didn't want you to take their word for it. They wanted you to hear it from the horse's mouth. And they wanted you to hear it from the kid's mouth.
And one last thing before you go. All the things I showed you were written by UNRWA employees. This is the work of the UN, the actual UN.
And the UN is out there pushing a ceasefire tonight. And our government today, Joe Biden, there's a rumbling, there's a breaking story coming out tonight that the United States government has ordered Israel to stop bombing Gaza. If that is true, it is not going to be a Merry Christmas here in America. It's not going to be a Merry Christmas for this nation. Yesterday, Biden goes out there and tells the world that Israel's losing the world's support because of their unilateral bombing, indiscriminate bombing is the word he used. I'd like to ask Mr. Joe something. What the freaking hell was Hamas doing on October the 7th when they were indiscriminately killing babies and burning babies and cutting babies' heads off and putting them in ovens and indiscriminately raping women and gang raping boys and gang raping women and gang raping grandmothers and kidnapping, and we still got 150 or so hostages. They can't even tell us where they're at. Hamas is out there threatening to kill every one of them. And these hostages that are coming back, we've reached out to a few of them. They just haven't responded to us. We sure would like to talk to them. They're telling stories of starvation, of torture, of sexual assault. These kids were put in dark places, basically being exposed to untold horror by these Hamas butchers and these Hamas animals. But yet, Joe, the schmo, tells Israel, you need to stop indiscriminately bombing. Bibi, if you're listening to me tonight, you don't know me and I don't know you personally, but I know of you because you're the Prime Minister of Israel. Reject that dumb foolery council and bomb the hell out of Hamas until there's not a Hamas terrorist left in the Straits of Gaza, and they want the sea from Palestine, from the river to the sea. Drive them into the sea. Don't listen to us over here. Do what you got to do to protect the Israeli people tonight. Do it. Roll the tape.
Know what it means? That's
The
right.
UN's behind
You
it.
paid for it. You funded this
We do.
jihad education system.
Thank you, sir. We fund the jihad education system. By the way, I saw something tonight. It was a joke on Gateway Pundit. Not in a good way. It wasn't a ha-ha joke. Congress passed a law under the dark of night that presidents, and I'll read you the story. I've got it right here on Telegram Room. The Congress passed a law that basically says that a president cannot pull us out of the UN without congressional approval. In other words, if the United States wanted to defund the UN, they couldn't do it without going through Congress. That's never happened before. A president could have that power before. They've taken that power away from him. You know why? They know what's coming. They know what's coming in November, so they're getting ahead of it. All I can tell you, that's why elections matter, and we need the Congress back in the hands of the Republicans. But with this bunch, you can never tell if the Republicans are going to be worse than the Democrats. But anyway, there's more. Got a few more things. I'm going to open your questions up tonight. By the way, incredible video here, and I'm not making light of this, folks. It's very serious what happened to this lawmaker in Turkey. He basically was saying that Allah is going to kill the Jews, sort of like these kids are being taught. Just like that kid said, with God, Allah's help, Allah will kill all the Jews. Well, it wasn't just a little boy saying that. This was a big boy saying that. There's a little story behind this video. Roll the tape.
Allah'ın gazabından kurtulamayacaksınız. Hepinizi saygıyla selamlıyorum.
See what happened there? The second he said that, he collapsed. Heart attack. He died today. 2 days, I think that happened Monday or Tuesday. He died in a hospital today. He never recovered. And I think I've got a sort of a story line behind that right here. Yeah, I think this is it right here. That's a still of that. They're trying to recuperate him. He had a heart attack when he said that. That's a warning. That's a warning. Not that these anti-Semites are going to take it, because these anti-Semites don't care. They don't have any fear of God. They don't care. Here it is right here. This was a MP Hassan Bismuth was his name, spoke out strongly against Israel and shouted that Israel would suffer the wrath of Allah. Second later, he had a heart attack. And I'm making light of this tonight, folks. It's very serious. He had a heart attack. He never recovered from that heart attack. He was pronounced dead in a Turkish hospital this afternoon. I'm going to let that speak for itself. I could raise my voice and scream, not that it would matter to a bunch of these anti-Jew haters, but Stu Peters, are you listening to me? You might want to watch that video, Stu. You might want to watch it. There's a few others that I want to call your name out tonight. You need to watch it. These cowards need to watch it. These cowards, these silent cowards need to watch it. You curse Israel, you're cursed. You bless Israel, you're going to be blessed, folks. I'll let the video speak for itself. Here's Jesse Waters on Hunter Biden's situation today. We're almost done. We just got a few more of these. This
When
is
he
Jesse
said,
today.
My father was not financially involved. Did your ears perk up?
Well, that's a lie. And even if he wasn't financially involved, he's logistically involved. He's personally involved. He's politically involved. Because when you fly your son to 15 countries, you're logistically involved. When you're personally involved, politically involved, when you're meeting with all of his clients at the White House, at the Vice President's residence, at the golf course, at the Four Seasons in Los Angeles, you're pretty involved. And then when you're doing favors for the clients, like when you're firing the prosecutor, writing the Ukrainians a blank check, or you're not popping the balloon, or you're shutting down the FBI task force of China, or you're lifting Trump tariffs on cheap solar panels, yeah, you're doing favors. You're writing letters of recommendation for the people. Come on. Everybody knows he's involved. Now, Hunter says he's ready. He's not ready. He was not going to testify today. And he says he's here. He wasn't in Congress. He was on the Senate. He's going to have to get arrested for contempt because Bannon tried to do the same stunt. Navarro tried the same stunt. Didn't work. They were both.
Yeah, the other guys tried the same stunt. Didn't work. And I'm going to add, we're going to open up the questions here in a minute. I want to take a little poll tonight. How many of you think anything's going to happen to Hunter Biden? Because it didn't work with Bannon. It didn't work with anybody else. It didn't work with Roger Stone. I'm not a fan of any of these folks. But it didn't work with anybody else. But it's working with the president's son tonight.
Handcuffed.
What would it take?
The Trump family had to sit for depositions. They sat for House, Senate, depositions, hours. They didn't pull theatrics like that. There's no way he's going to get away with this. And he's racking up another charge. This guy has some nerve. I love how we say that, you know, this guy is clean and Joe Biden's clean. So where's the $1.6 million in cash that Hunter Biden withdrew over 3 years? No one's curious about where the cash went? Is it sewn into windbreakers in Joe's closet? Like,
I'm curious where it went. Hunter, I'm going to share some of that. That's a joke.
Or Bob?
That's a joke.
I mean, you got missing cash. You got missing diamonds. No one's curious about
the Trump attack machine. I'm a target of the Trump attack machine, as if Trump has not been a victim of the Biden attack machine.
All this goes. I mean, you got Hunter Biden in 2018.
By the way, folks, let me remind you about that Hunter Biden laptop that the FBI claimed was Russian disinformation. That laptop has been confirmed that he has got underage girls on it, smoking crack, smoking dope. There's pictures all over the internet with these young girls in these parties. And we don't know, I'm not going to say when I say underage, look, there's no confirmation they're under 18, but you can look at these chicks, and even for a dumb hillbilly like Chris McDonald, I can look at those girls and tell you they're under 18. But he's a victim. A victim. He's a pedophile.
Dave Weiss in the indictment.
He's a pedophile.
The indictment says Hunter Biden made $2.1 million in 2018, and he goes, there was no evidence of any business. He didn't conduct.
All right. I've heard enough. Thank you, Jesse, for your 5 minutes of fame on my show tonight. But let me tell you this. I don't care ultimately about Hunter Biden's personal habits, because the DA that indicted him this week listed where he was spending all his money on these tax charges instead of paying his taxes. Ultimately, the DA could have not told us that. It's none of our business where he spends his money. If he paid his taxes, he paid his taxes. Where you spend your money is your business. What the issue is here is that the business dealings with Hunter Biden were basically being investigated criminally by the Ukraine. And forces, because of pressure from this country, one, Joe Biden, when vice president, that he put on the Ukrainian government, those charges were basically squelched. The DA, the prosecutor, was fired. Another DA comes in, hides the crimes. And this was with Burisma, and other business dealings that Joe was involved in. There are checks, supposedly, that Comer has, $40,000, $50,000 checks at a time, that were directly made out to Joe Biden. Now, he's out there claiming tonight I had absolutely no connection to the business dealings. That's the issue here tonight. Don't get this personal stuff convoluted with what the issue is. Because a lot of people want to make this a personal dig and a tawdry National Enquirer kind of thing. And I could care less about the National Enquirer stuff. Look, Hunter Biden's a sleazeball. Being a sleazeball is not being criminal. That's not what makes him a criminal. There's a lot of sleazeballs. But what makes it criminal is that you're giving national security secrets to foreign enemies and at the expense of money, and basically betraying the national security of the United States of America. And then your father is back basically enriching himself off of your business deals and probably being the pimp. He's sort of the pimp daddy of Hunter and these deals. He's getting a percentage probably of what the things you're paying. That's just one of those dumb. You remember those book for dummies? That's a book for dummies summation of what you're dealing with here. We'll see where this goes, but don't be putting any money on it that anything's going to happen to either one of them. It's a lot of blather. That's why we get so frustrated with politics and politicians. Many bloodsuckers. Speaking of one right here, folks, one of the worst pictures of the year, and I like Mr. Johnson, but I tell you what, that is not a good look. I don't know what they were talking about, but it was right after this meeting and right before that they passed this hideous FISA law again last night, which basically gives the government all the power in the world they need to spy on you and come get you in the middle of the night and not say a thing because they were doing it in the name of national security. You're a threat to national security. You can thank Speaker of the House Johnson for that. And look, I like the man, but he's wrong. He's wrong. And it's going to hurt him. But that's why we don't trust politicians. That's why we don't trust anybody. By the way, this is Stu Peters' latest nonsense. I'm just going to start putting his own words up there. This was just the 10th of October. It's about a couple of months ago. He says, Benjamin Netanyahu is using misplaced American goodwill toward Israel for Israeli imperialism. It's no different than what that Turkish legislator was saying. Here he is in 2001 admitting Israel controls 80% of the American populace, which is a lie. They are Zio supremacists, and we are their cattle and cannon fodder. Does that sound any different, any more or less degenerate than the one that dropped dead of a heart attack? Stu, I'll be glad to send you that video. What an anti-Semite. What an anti-Semite. Don't be messing around with folks like that. Sadly, people do. Final thing tonight. This was very troubling. I know what I pulled that folder up for. I want to go back to one of the couple of quick things. Couple of quickies here. Barnes & Noble. If you are shopping for books, I would strongly suggest you not shop at Barnes & Noble. I've got my book on there, and Zulon controls that. I wish they didn't. Because if you buy my book, I hate to use Amazon, but it's the only two outlets we got. But we're making some efforts to change how we sell our book. But they put the Bible in fiction, in the fiction section of their bookstore. It's no longer in the spirituality section. Now, I don't know if that's a company thing. I don't know if that's a local outlet, because some of these stores are locally owned. A lot of these franchises out there have local owners that buy them. They buy the franchise fee, and then they run the business like they want to. There are certain standards they have to uphold. So I don't know if this is a local one, but this was just 10 hours ago. Laura Logan posted this. She's one of the best journalists out there. So this ain't some fringe right-wing conspiracy. This is coming from Laura Logan, and I trust Laura Logan a lot. But I'll let the video and let that speak for itself. Not good, Barnes and Noble. You're neither noble or whatever. And you deserve to go bankrupt, just to be honest with you. A couple of other things. This was what I was telling Eric about last night or earlier tonight. This was a hideous display, and bear with me, we're going to keep you for a little bit. It's 9:30. We're going to keep you for a little while tonight. The group behind the viral Biden Christmas video that was a hideous display of debauchery last night is a radical anti-white group called Dorrance Dance. And on the group website calls for defunding the police, abolishing prisons, and even quotes Marxist terrorist Angela Davis. The site has an entire section dedicated, get ready for it, anti-white literature. Anti-white literature. You gotta love these haters. You gotta love these haters of white folks. You gotta love these haters of white folks. All right. Chat is open. Facebook. Chat is open in YouTube tonight. A couple of other quick things. You got a question for me about the show. About the show. I can't answer whether the Lindbergh baby's alive or not, or JFK's alive. He's not. Neither is Junior. Sorry, you key folks. Joe Biden's not a clone. The military ain't in charge. Hate to bust your little Q bubble tonight. I've put it like this, like my old buddy Chris Allman told me, if the military is in charge and Trump's in charge, they sure do suck. They sure do suck. They're not in charge. By the way, just a reminder, this is the impeachment evidence against Donald Trump. A Democrat-affiliated whistleblower reported Trump wanted Biden's corruption probed in Ukraine. That's what they claimed, that he was trying to influence an election. And there's only 19 things right there, and we'll post that on a Telegram room for you to look at later. But WhatsApp messages, IRS whistleblower, the big guy, Hunter's text, FBI undercover asset, Hunter's biz partner, also confirms big guy's Joe. Joe FVP, Hunter's Burisma salary was cut in half. Eyewitness statements, more than 150 suspicious activity reports from U.S. banks. Joe and Hunter shared a bank account, but I have no connection to my son's business dealings. Biden had 2 fake email aliases. Biden's written letter to Hunter's biz partners. His videotape confession. Biden dining with Hunter biz partners and lying about it. Obama administration, we didn't know a thing that he would demand UK prosecutors firing. They didn't know that. Biden helping Hunter's Chinese business partners. That's why Small was in this, because him and Yang Yang were doing the Yang Yang. Flight records showing Hunter flew 411 times on government jets while Joe was VP. Bunner received kickbacks from UPenn after school, same University of Penn that McGill was at, or not at now. Received $54 million in Chinese donations, and Biden refused to release records of his S-corps or bank statements during bribery schemes. You think they did agree to an impeachment inquiry? Don't hold your breath. But they went after Trump twice for one thing. That's our government. You gotta love our government. You gotta love our government. Comment from Roger Hooker tonight. Nothing will happen to Hunter unless the powers that be decide to remove Biden before the 2024 elections. Roger, that is true. That is true. It's a hard sell right now. It's a hard call. I can't say either way. I'm sort of leaning toward that too, but you know, we're in a crazy world right now. We're just in a crazy world. And I don't know anybody else. Because if you get a more centrist Democrat, the far left of the Democratic, this extreme wing, the AOC, the Ariana Presley's, the Sheep Tlaib's, the Ilhan Omar, that group is going to be marginalized, and the Democratic Party will go up in smoke. It will literally destroy the Democratic Party because the far left is controlling that party. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I actually agree with what you're saying. If they don't want Joe on that ticket, they will use Hunter to get him out. I think the next few months is going to be telling of what's coming. Good comment. Thank you, friend. Thank you. If you got a question for me tonight, we got a few minutes, about 15 minutes. I wanted to read an article. I'll save this for maybe Monday night on our late show Monday night. But I do encourage you to find this article by Saul Alinsky, the radical. Hillary did her college thesis on his writings. Obama writes about him in his book. Saul Alinsky died 43 years ago, but his writings influenced those in political control of our government today. Died June the 12th, 1972, Carmel by the Sea, California, in Chicago. He was a University of Chicago guy. His spouse was Irene. Rules for Radicals, which he dedicated to Satan. He dedicated that book to Satan. He said, I dedicate this to the first rebel. Now, this is what he believes, that you create a social state. How you create a social state. There are 8 levels of control that must be obtained before you can create the state. The first is the most important. Healthcare. Control healthcare, he says, you control the people. Poverty, increase the poverty level as high as possible. Poor people are easier to control and will not fight back. If you are providing everything for them to live for free. Debt. Increase the debt to an insurmountable level, an unsustainable level. The way you are able to increase taxes, this will produce more poverty. Gun control. Remove the ability to defend people's selves from the government. That way you are able to create a police state. That's what they basically did tonight, folks. This FISA law, I'm telling you something, this FISA law is right out of the Gestapo playbook of Russia. It's amazing our government is screaming at us because we're not supporting Ukraine against Russia, and we're taking a page out of Russia's playbook to control the United States of America. Welfare. Take control of every aspect of their lives. Food, housing, and their income. Education. Take control of what people read and listen to. Take control of what people and children learn in school. Do you not believe that there are kids, probably, not just that Muslim kid, but do you not believe there are American kids probably being taught the same thing in their 5th, 6th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd grade classrooms? That ideology, that Muslim kids being taught? Our kids are being taught it too. We just don't hear about it as much. Religion. Remove the belief in the God of heaven from the government and schools. Class warfare. Divide the people into the wealthy and the poor. Klaus Schwab was quoted as saying just this week that the only thing that stands in the way of world peace, are you ready for this? The middle class. He said if the world would remove the middle class and the government, the elites and the rich were up here, and then you had the poor down here, the poor would bow to the rich and do anything the rich said. I'm not quoting him on that, but that's sort of a paraphrase of what he was saying. Class warfare. He took that right out of Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. This will cause more discontent, and it will be easier to take the wealthy, the tax the wealthy, with the support of the poor. It does sound like what's happening in the United States. It simplified Vladimir Lenin's original scheme for world conquest by communism under Russian rule. Stalin described his converts as, quote, useful idiots. The useful idiots have destroyed every nation in which they have seized power and control. It is presently happening at an alarming rate. It is difficult to free fools from the chains they revere. That is the communists mocking us. They're mocking us tonight, folks. They're laughing at us. They're laughing at us. Ken says, Iowa folks were not happy about the statue too. Thank God for Michael Cassidy. That's good, Ken. Anything else, folks? I'm surprised we ain't got more comments. If you got any comments or questions about the show tonight, we got almost 500 listeners right now, 400, 200 on the platforms. We want to welcome our Rumble people in later tonight. You can email us a question at McFilesForum@gmail.com if you're on Rumble. Any questions in Facebook or YouTube tonight about the show, anything we've talked about or anything's on your mind? It's a Thursday night. You got 15 minutes. Say what you got to say. Say what you got to say. Sheila Despot, good show. Well, thank you, Sheila. It's good to see you, friend. Good to see you. That's what she's got to say. It is a good show. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying this run. I'm having a ball. Cleo, comment again from Roger Hooker. Israel's government is resolute when it comes to removing Hamas. Biden is weakening quickly. Yeah, Roger, I hope that you're right, but I've got Israeli people telling me that Bibi he's sort of breaking under this onslaught, and Biden is basically threatening him with aid. There was a report out, and I don't know what publication it was, Western Journal, WorldNet Daily, I'm not sure which one, that when Biden was saying these things publicly, he's talking to Bibi behind the scenes, and he's not going to come out and say it openly. But there is a rumor that we're threatening aid We're threatening to withhold aid. Now, this bill tonight that the Republicans passed includes aid for Israel and the Ukraine. Bernie Sanders is out there claiming we need to just cut off everything. Just stop giving Israel money, period, until they change their policy. Well, I wonder if Bernie thinks we should be cutting off our aid to the Palestinian Authority, because we paid money to them too, by the way, and stop their policy of raping babies and raping women and raping boys, sodomizing boys and sodomizing women, Bernie. I wonder if you should care to comment on that policy. Freaking morons. Imbeciles. Roger, good point. But he's going to have to stay strong. I don't know if he will. Question from Dennis Floyd. If I'm out of bounds here, just ignore this. Why do we allow the UN to be in the U.S., not to mention that we mostly support them? Roger, Dennis, that's not a question out of bounds, brother. That's the $1 million question, and we've asked that question. I think most Americans have been asking that question for 40 years. The UN does nothing for the United States. All the UN does is interfere in our business, sort of like the Pope does. The Pope lectures the world, lectures the United States about climate control and pollution, and Israel, lecturing them about their terrorist state, lecturing them on these poor Palestinians. And those poor Palestinians, that little kid that you saw, Allah is going to help us kill all the Jews, that's a poor Palestinian he's talking about. He's saying that again, I don't want nothing to happen to that kid. That kid is deluded. And you can blame his parents and the teachers who teaching him that stuff for a lot of that stuff. But you grow up in that, a kid's going to follow suit. But that's the poor Palestinians that the Vatican is more worried about tonight. These people wanting to kill the Jews. Your comment is square on. It's not out of bounds, not a bit, Dennis. And that's why this law that the Senate passed, beyond anybody's scope, I'm going to put it in Telegram. I saw it. I thought I posted it already, but I guess I didn't. But they basically made it where that a president cannot pull the U.S. out of the UN and stop giving money to the UN except Senate approves it. So Trump, when he was in office, President Trump, he demanded that the UN pay their fair share. And he said, we're going to stop paying your bills for you. And you know something? They got pissed off at Trump, but I tell you what happened. They paid their fair share. They paid their bills. And we stopped funding them like we were. Anyway. Sheila says, have you seen the documentary Agenda, Grinding American Down 2010? They cover the list you just gave. I've not seen the documentary, Sheila, but I'm sure that same list, that is a book. Saul Alinsky's book is out there. It's a chilling book, and folks, it's a blueprint for what's going on tonight. It's been going on really for decades in this country under the surface. It's just come to the forefront now. But the takeover is complete. The takeover is complete, and I think the only thing that is not complete yet is that the remnant has not given up the fight. And that's my biggest concern, because the remnant is losing heart. I'm talking to a lot of people that are discouraged, disillusioned. I'm talking about spiritual folks. And this standing up against this kind of evil, folks, because you lose friends, you lose family, you lose money support. Networks go away because they stand up for truth. And people just stop supporting them because they don't want to hear what they got to say. And they'll go run and listen to all this abhorrent stuff and throw their money in, throw their shekels. So there's a lot of people that get discouraged and they just give up fighting. And that's sort of what I hope we're trying to encourage people not to do. Don't give up the fight. But that is the last thing they're after. They're trying to remove Christianity, true Christianity, from this planet. They're not trying to remove apostate Christianity. And see, the weird thing about it, the government knows the difference. Church people don't know the difference between apostate Christianity and true faith. The government does. See, the government will let people like Rick Warren and Osteen, and I didn't mean to say names, but all these feel-good preachers, these mega pastors, Jakes, all of them that preach this lifeless gospel that doesn't require any kind of repentance from sin, doesn't require any change, they'll let them go on, and they're not going to ever touch those ministries. Not going to touch them. Somebody preaching Jesus. There was a guy, it was a Twitter handle I saw yesterday, day before, where they arrested a guy. He was preaching outside a post office on the street. The police walk up to him and tell him, you're violating the law. And he was not on the post office grounds. He was across the street. But they claimed that he was trespassing. And when he refused to stop preaching, they took him to jail. It's easy for us as the remnant to get discouraged. I'm not going to say I've not been discouraged lately. It gets frustrating, and y'all hear it in my voice sometimes how frustrating it gets. But we, the remnant, we just cannot give up and stop fighting against this. Because that's the last frontier. That's the last frontier. That's the last frontier. John Wade, my thoughts. A lot of elected officials that should know right from wrong don't seem to do anything. That's what really bugs me. John, it's not just elected officials. There are people in this nation that don't know right and wrong. John, we've got a problem with people defining what Hamas did on October the 7th as evil. I'm still waiting for some of these so-called religious telegram rooms and all these religious voices and all these so-called people that are supposed to be so in tune with God and so in touch with God and so in touch with being a pastor to everybody, and I'm just here to protect all my people, and I'm just like a Deborah, and I'm just like this. I'm waiting for them to condemn Hamas, and I ain't heard a word condemning the atrocities of October the 7th. All I've been hearing from their networks is Jew hate. That's all I hear. An innuendo that the pentagram, the Star of David is a pentagram, and Israel is an illegitimate corporation. Some of their guests are holding up corporation papers and holding up things, denigrating the Jews, denigrating Israel. I'm waiting. I'm waiting with bated breath to hear the church at large condemn Hamas. There ain't but a few voices out there that are doing it. Most people that are posting stuff, it's all about the humanitarian stuff. We need to pray for the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. We need to pray for the humanitarian crisis with the Palestinian people. That is a crock of cowardly dung. Bunk. What was Marcia Montenegro's word Tuesday night? Bunk. That is cowardly bunk. And I got another word for it, but this is a family show on a Thursday night still. It's cowardice. Cowardice. It's damnable cowardice. And John, to your point's right on, buddy. But it ain't just politicians. It ain't just politicians. It's spiritual leadership in this country don't know it either. That's where we're in more of a danger. When the spiritual leadership of a nation don't know right and wrong, we screwed. We screwed. And if we don't have the moral clarity to declare Hamas evil, we just screwed. Anyway. Whoops, John, I didn't mean to delete your comment. Anyway. And folks, I'm your talk show host on our e-network, okay? I'm your talk show host tonight, not your pastor tonight. Question from Corey Aguilar. It's great some of the big university presidents are resigning, but what about the students supporting Hamas? Who has the authority to have them leave the country? You know, Corey, that's a great question. And honestly, I don't think you can, unless you revoke their scholarship. Now, there was one girl, and it may have been last week, we played the clip of the girl in New York, at New York University. They pulled her scholarship because somebody reported her to the school for tearing down those posters. That's how you do it. But look, if Harvard is not going to be courageous enough to fire the lady whose name is Gay, if I'd have said gay lady, people would have thought I was being disrespectful. Her name is Gay, but Miss Gay. They're not going to send their students home that support Hamas. They're not going to do it. Who was it? It was there was somebody I saw doing an interview about this. And they made a great point, and I've been making this point for 2 weeks, that Harvard's hypocrisy and MIT's hypocrisy runs so deep in the fact that if you reverse this, y'all just think about this tonight. Y'all just think about this tonight. What would happen if people were saying F the blacks? What do you think would happen to somebody if they were walking around with a poster saying, kill the blacks, kill all Hispanics, kill all whites? What do you think would happen to them? Nothing would happen to you. If you say kill all whites and kill all Jews, nothing's going to happen to you. What would happen to a student at Harvard if they were seen walking around campus with a sign saying kill the blacks? So you think all the blacks should be killed or lynched? It's a hate crime. That's a hate crime. But Jew hate and saying F the Jews and genocide the Jews, and genocide's okay with the Jews, that ain't hate crime on these campuses. So if the leadership ain't going to pay for it, some of them are being asked to resign, but not many of them, Corey. Not many of them, friend. Not many of them. Not many of them. Anyway, jail them forever. They would be jailed forever, Rosemary. That's exactly right. That is exactly correct. They would be jailed forever. I want to say that again. They would be jailed forever and would not see the light of day. Folks, this thing with this reporter troubles me tonight. I don't have this. I think we may have posted the story in the Telegram room. I'll have it posted by the weekend. This developing story tonight about this reporter, this J6 reporter, that the FBI notified his attorney today that they're opening up a case file on him. He was not at the Capitol. He was just reporting on the events from the Capitol. They're going after him tonight. You got communist Russia, folks, here at your doorstep. You got communist America. It's dangerous. Dangerous. All hell would break loose, Jamie. All hell would break loose. Anybody else got a question tonight? You got a question tonight? Susan says, I'm disappointed Speaker Johnson would allow this evil government to spy on us. That is a shock to me. It's not to me, Susan. I like Speaker Johnson, but Speaker Johnson is a politician. They're all politicians. And some of them, I hate to say this because it sounds like I'm taking a shot at Christians, and I'm not. But they hide behind their faith when they do this stuff, and it bothers me. Look, Chris is about faith. We got faith shows on this network. I'm a man of God. I believe in the Lord. I'm a man of faith. But I don't use my faith to cloak my failings. And these politicians use their faith to cloak this kind of crap that he's doing. I don't know what he was doing with Paul Ryan yesterday. The media is silent about that. But it was not a good look. It was not a good look. And it was very disturbing. And it was right before this FISA law got passed. It was right before this FISA law got passed. Chris, did you hear they voted to reauthorize? I just talked about that, Bama. I just absolutely talked about that. I don't know where you've been. We've been talking about that for the last 15, 20 minutes. That's what we talked about earlier tonight. Derek Caron. Yes, we've heard about it. We've been talking about it all night, actually. Any other questions? Real quick. We got another 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Another 5 minutes. Praying that maybe he was witnessing to him. Annette, don't count on it. No, he wasn't witnessing to him. Don't count on it. Don't count on it. Maybe it's the cynic in me. Maybe it's just the realist in me. Don't count on it. I'll just leave it at that. Sheila Daspit, do you think that some Christians in politics are scared to stand up for their faith and not trusting God to defend them? You know, Sheila, I don't know. I don't know. I guess you'd need to ask them. I don't know. I'm not going to judge why they do things and why they don't do things. I think sometimes we elect people because we think they're people of faith, and then these people of faith get in there And then they act like regular politicians. And we're just shocked. Oh my God, I thought they were Christian, but they went in there and voted for abortion. It happens all the time. Look, Ted Cruz is a raging Christian. Ted Cruz is one of the senators that voted for the FISA last night. He claims he's a raging Christian. There's a lot of them on that list that I saw, and I got the list. I'll have the list next week of these senators that did it. That story will still be around Monday night when we come back. There's a lot of names on that list that profess Christianity, but they had no problem voting for this FISA bill to spy on Americans. So I guess you'll need to ask them that, Sheila. That's a good question. I'm not saying it's a bad question. It's just, I don't know. I can't say. Joe, I saw about the movie. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about the movie of the Obamas. I don't want to give them any press. Take your comment out if you don't mind. I don't want to even give that movie any press. It's a rag trash movie. I don't plan on watching it. I could care less about it. By the way, it's a white hating movie. It's an anti-white movie. The character in the movie basically tells her daddy that we can't trust anybody, especially white people, and then push comes to shove, we just need to kill them all. That's an actual statement out of that big Obama movie. Anyway. Any other questions? Chris is in a wired up mood tonight. Chris is in a wired up mood tonight, Joe. I've heard about it, but I don't want to give it any press. How about that, buddy? I don't want to give it any press. 3 minutes. Diane, I think everybody in this room trusts God for everything, that God knows the beginning to the end, but I'm going to tell you what I've been saying to this network audience, because I hear stuff like that, and it gives the impression that all this is just God's going to throw pixie dust on all this, and it's all going to get fixed. And it's not. I respect your comment, and I'm with you. I trust God too. I do. My faith is in God. If my faith wasn't in God, I'd go insane. I don't fret about this stuff. I don't wake up in the mornings fearing. I don't lay my head down at night fearing. I know that I know what the Bible tells me is going to happen, but I'm going to tell you this. Things are not going to get any better. And there's no pixie dust coming. There's no white cavalry coming. There's no military coming. There's no white horse coming except for a white horse rider called the Antichrist. He's coming on the scene for 7 years. The rapture is about to take place. The church is about to be taken from this earth. But it's going to take God 7 years to bring Israel to her knees fully. It's really been taking God nearly 4,000 years to get Israel to her knees. And she still ain't on her knees tonight. If it takes God that much and all the judgment and all the hell that's going to be unleashed upon that little tiny nation during the Great Tribulation to get her to finally repent and come to her senses, what will it take us? What is it going to take for this country of America tonight? I don't know if we got 7 years. Just a thought. Just a thought. Julia Carter, do you think when Obama was booed and while he was trying to talk, people were chanting FBJ and he couldn't stop it and kept saying hold up, but they kept saying it and clapping? No, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. Don't surprise me, but I didn't see it. No, I sure didn't. Jamie, do you think that the heat toward Israel is going to get worse? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm going to tell you all this tonight, folks. If Joe Biden follows through with these threats, if he keeps saying these things publicly about Israel needs to stop the ceasefire, it's going to bring judgment on this country. I say that tonight unequivocally, folks. It's going to bring judgment on this country. Do you know why he's going through all this turmoil tonight? It's ironic that his son Hunter was basically sticking his middle finger up to Congress on the same day that his daddy's out there telling Israel to stop a ceasefire. He's touching the apple of God's eye. He's touching the apple of God's eye. And if they withhold aid, folks, all that's going to do is come right back on America. Because every time they withhold aid with Israel, we have a financial meltdown here in this country. That's been proven. John McTernan's books are full of examples. When America has withheld aid and caused that kind of thing to happen to Israel, we've always had economic meltdowns in this nation. One of the biggest stock market crashes in October of 1987, 19th, and then the recession of 03 under Bush and Cheney, and then some of the economic hardships of George W. Bush Sr. Folks, do you realize that George W. Bush Sr. had a 78% approval rating? Actually, I take that back. He had an 82 to 85% approval rating after the Iraqi war. That was 1 year, just less than a year before the elections. And that people were crowning him a two-term president. And then he started pressuring Israel to give up her land. In a matter of 8 months, an unknown sex addict, rapist from Arkansas named Bill Clinton appeared on the scene and kicked his butt in the 92 election. Anyway, hey, did you like that song I played at the beginning? I'm going to play it again. I'm going to record that song, The Candyman. I've always loved that song. Willy Wonka is one of my favorite childhood movies. I love Willy Wonka. So there's a new Willy Wonka movie coming out. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Listen, no McFiles tomorrow or Saturday. We'll be back Sunday morning meeting time. We want you to have a couple of nights to enjoy the Christmas season. Next week, we got a couple of shows, 2 or 3 shows during the week, but it's mainly going to be the first of the week. Christmas is a week from Monday. How about that? And we want you to enjoy this season because we sure are enjoying it. I'm going to show you a picture. No, I can't do it tonight because I hadn't got it. I'm going to show you a picture Monday night in my front yard. Some of you have asked about it, and I'm going to show it to you. So join me for that Monday because we're going to have some holly jolly Christmas juice, and we want you to have a great weekend. I love you. God bless you. God bless your families. And unlike this person, I could watch this over and over. This guy's singing. He did a great job. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have to get a hold of this guy and see if he can come on the McFiles and sing it for us. But he was awesome because this is the truth. Have a good night, everybody.
Money with a twinkle in their eye. Take it all away and give it to some other guy. The government. The government can. And who can tax the sunrise? Who can tax the trees? Well, let you run a business and collect up all the fees. The government. Oh, the government can. And the government can, cause they mix it up with lies and make it all taste good. Government takes everything we make to pay for all of their solutions. Like healthcare, climate change, pollution. Just throw away the Constitution. I wrote that, thank you. Who can give a bailout? Tell us to behave. And make the founding fathers roll over in their grave. I don't care if you hate me, I'm going to sing it anyway. Oh, the government can. And the government can, because they mix it up with lies and make it all yummy, 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 yummy.
I think we need to play that again. I like that song. Play that one more time, kids. Play that song on this final show of the McFiles on a Thursday.
Take it all away and give it to some other guy.
That's exactly what they do.
The government can. And who can tax the sunrise? Who can tax the trees? Well, let you run a business and collect up all the fees. The government. Oh, the government can. And the government can, cause they mix it up with lies and make it all taste good. Government takes everything we make to pay for all of their solutions. Like healthcare, climate change, pollution. Just throw away the Constitution. I wrote that, thank you. Who can give a bailout? Tell us to behave. And make the founding fathers roll over in their grave. I don't care if you hate me, I'm going to sing it anyway. Oh, the government can. And the government can, because they mix it up well, I to make it all yummy, 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 yummy. The government takes everything we make. They're all
Have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year. I don't know if there'll be snow, but have a cup of cheer. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and when you walk down the street, say hello to friends you know and everyone you meet. Ho, ho, the mistletoe is hung where you can see. Somebody waits for you, kiss her once for me. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and in case you didn't hear, oh by God, they have a holly jolly Christmas this year. The mistletoe, it's hung where you can see. Somebody waits for you, kiss her once for me. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and in case you didn't hear, oh by golly, have a holly jolly Christmas this year.